What if I told you there was one secret in particular that most people who stutter simply don't know about? And hence, because they don't understand this, because they don't know this, they don't overcome stuttering. Well, I'm going to share that secret with you today. And before I share that with you, I want to give you the reason as to why most people don't know this secret. Number one, nobody ever told them about it. So that's the first reason. And number two is this does go against the grain a little bit of human nature, or it isn't exactly what we would prefer to hear. And this is the reason why it doesn't tend to come to people naturally of their own accord or of their own intuition. Often we need someone from the outside to tell us this, to give us this wisdom. And that's what happened to me when I stuttered, especially during my teenage years. I got in contact with people, or I read material through authors and then through a speech coach as well, that kind of helped me to understand what this secret is. And so here it is. I'm going to share the secret with you right now, and then we'll dive into the episode. The secret is this. The reason most people don't beat stuttering is because they focus on an unclear goal rather than following a precise system. They focus on an unclear goal rather than following a precise system. So chew on that for a second and let's dive into the episode. So I'm about to unpack this secret that I just revealed to you that most people who stutter just simply don't know about. Before I do that though, I want to give you a gift, and it is my free Stop Stuttering workshop. This is a 45+ minute video training that will give you a system, a plan, a routine, an understanding of, okay, you stutter, that's the starting point. What do you do about it? How do you overcome it? What is the plan? What does it actually look like? And I give you not just some vague idea of what it looks like. I give you tools. I give you actionable things that you can go and implement. Things like a daily routine and different tools that you can use on a daily basis to help you build the fluency that you want. So I will leave a link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, or just go to speakyourmindmethod.com to check it out. Okay? All right. Let's dive into unpacking this secret that I just revealed to you, which is, again, the reason that most people don't overcome stuttering is because they focus on an unclear goal rather than pursuing, or rather than following, a precise system. So we have this duality here. We have goals on one hand, and then we have systems on the other hand. Now, I was inspired to talk about this in this episode because recently I reread the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is this amazing book right here. Highly recommend this read. This is one of the top recommended books that I give to my students. And one of the things James Clear talks about in the book Atomic Habits is this discrepancy, you could say, or this misbelief that people have when it comes to goal setting, for example. And I'm sure you've probably heard this a lot, where people will give you advice or tell you to have goals, have lofty goals, dream big, all of those phrases that we've heard a bunch of times. And the problem with that is it's become, if you imagine a seesaw, I just think it's become so tilted to the one side where the only thing we ever hear about is goals, dreams, aspirations. But it's like, that's not enough. The seesaw is completely off balance. The way that we bring things back to balance, the way that we actually achieve what we want to in our lives, is by developing systems, is by following precise systems, because that is actually the only way that you actually achieve the goals that you're aiming for. And so this is incredibly important stuff. And one of the things, one of the quotes from the book that is very important, that I now want you, if you don't remember anything else, please just remember this quote by James Clear from the book Atomic Habits. It is this: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. What this means is, if you're trying to overcome stuttering, human nature and just the laws of the natural world and our mind, you do not rise to the level of whatever your goal is. If your goal is to overcome stuttering, you're not going to just, because of that goal, rise to the level of your goal. Instead, because of the nature, the force of gravity, you are going to fall to the level of whatever your system is that you have in place. And this is why I preach this all the time. This is why I offer my free Stop Stuttering workshop all the time. And this is why I have programs and one-on-one coaching. Like, you need a system in place, because otherwise, if all you have is a goal, you're not going to achieve the desired results of what you're going after. So again, this brilliant quote by James Clear: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you will fall to the level of your systems. And another quote, this one is from a guy named Scott Adams, and I think this was also in the book, is goals are about the results you want to achieve, and then systems are about the processes that lead to those results. That's pretty easy to understand, right? The goals, this is what I want to achieve, that's my goal. But the system is what actually facilitates you reaching that goal in the first place. And without the system, you're never going to reach the goal, because, as we talked about, there's this gravitational thing that happens naturally where you will inevitably fall to the level of whatever your systems are. And this is why most people don't succeed at the skills that they're trying to build, whether that be fluent speech, whether that be learning a new language, whether that be learning how to play the guitar. You will fall to the level of whatever your systems are. If you don't play guitar ever and you have a dream or a goal of being a great guitar player, you're not going to rise to the goal. You're going to fall to the level of whatever your habits are, whatever your system is. Now, here's an important point for you to understand in this discussion of goals versus systems, is that those who succeed at overcoming stuttering and those who don't succeed, they have the same goal, which is, I want to be a fluent speaker. I don't want to be held back by stuttering or blocking anymore. That's my goal. Yeah, no kidding. We all have that. I had that goal when I was a teenager and even into my early 20s. I had the dream and I had the goal of, this is what I want to do. I want to overcome stuttering. But as I just said, those who succeed and those who don't in the quest of overcoming stuttering, they have the exact same goal. So that means that the difference lies with not the goals, but with something else. And since we're already in this episode, since you've been listening, you already know what I'm about to say. The difference is the systems that are in place. Those who succeed have a precise system in place that is leading them to the goal, and those who fail on the journey of achieving the speech fluency that they want, they don't have that system in place. And therefore, they don't reach the goal that they're going for. And there's a really great quote from Aristotle that I once heard, and it goes, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. And so if you want excellence, you have to build that through habit building. And then it's not just having a goal or doing or going through a 3-day program and spending $3,000 for it, and then with the promise of, hey, you'll overcome stuttering in 2 days or 3 days. Just absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I can't believe that there are actually people, and I've seen these people online preaching this stuff, say you can overcome stuttering in 3 days. It's absolutely insane to believe that. Now, of course they don't believe that. It's all a psychological game of the people who are preaching this, who are charging those prices for working with their clients in that short amount of time. And the problem with any type of method or any type of coach or speech therapist or anybody who claims that you can beat stuttering in a day or 3 days or even a week, it's like, yeah, you can maybe overcome stuttering inside of the session itself. You can maybe stop stuttering for that time period, but you're gonna fall back on your old habits if you don't have a system in place. If they don't give you a system, if they promise like 2 to 3 days, you follow my method, I'll coach you for 3 days, here's my intensive program, and you pay me $3,000, you're not going to. Sure, within those 3 days, you might see incredible results. The problem is a lot of it is just psychological trickery. And it's not maybe what you think when you think of psychological trickery, but it's just that because there's a lot of the placebo effect happening. And what I mean by the placebo effect is this: there's an element of belief. You start to believe that it's possible, and therefore it starts to feel like it's actually happening. And you might actually, in that 3-day period, say, achieve quite high levels of fluency. The problem is there's no system in place. And so if you aren't able to build the system across time, across many months, you will inevitably relapse, and then you'll have wasted multiple thousands of dollars. And so that was a bit of a tangent that I know I went on, but I wanted to mention that here because seriously, please, guys, don't fall for that. This is not a quick fix. Nothing about this is going to be easy. I mean, there are ways and there are things we can do that make it easier. We're not trying to make it harder than it needs to be, but it's just, come on, let's not fall for scams, please. And anyway, coming back to goals versus systems, there are a couple more things I want to mention before I wrap up this episode. One of them is, I think, a great way to conceptualize growth and to conceptualize the system that you're trying to develop as you aim towards the goal of becoming a highly fluent speaker. I think often the problem is we tend to think too much in a binary way. What I mean by that is if you imagine a light switch, just picture a light switch. You enter a dark room and you flip the light switch on and the whole room is flooded with light. There's a real just off-on. It's a binary switch, just it's off or it's on. And the problem with that is we often tend to view stuttering through that binary lens of it's either off or it's on. I'm a stutterer. I have the goal of not stuttering. And the problem with that is we fail to understand what I call gradation process that happens. It's a spectrum. It's a fading out of the one mode or the one style, the one habit of stuttering and speaking in a disfluent way, and it's fading into the fluent patterns of speech and building up these skills and building up a new enhanced identity of the way that you see yourself and your speech. It's not a matter of a light switch that is on and then it's off. Like I'm a stutterer and then I reach my goal and then I'm not. That's not how this works. So instead of a light switch, what I want you to picture is a dial. So imagine a dial for, say, heat or AC, just the round ones that just go the whole way around. That is a lot more what it's like. You're slowly, and it's not like it's consistent all the time of, 0 to 100 on a dial and then 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then you just very consistently you reach 100 and you reach the goal of overcoming stuttering. It gets janky sometimes. You'll achieve spikes of success and you have moments where you are so thrilled about a success that you experienced, and then you experience a spike of confidence. But then maybe your system, maybe you didn't quite follow through on the routine that you were in or the plan you're in. So you will then, because of the nature of gravity, perhaps you've fallen back to the level of whatever your system is. So maybe you go back a little bit and then you go forward and then it's kind of back and forth. But as long as you are maintaining the mental positioning of, I am always going to get better, I will never stop improving. It's what I always tell my students. If you commit to that, and you take that all the way out, if you stretch that idea or that thought all the way out to its natural result or its natural end, the mode of thought of, I will never stop improving. I will always improve, and it doesn't matter how small, I will always aim for the next small improvement. If you never stop improving, you are going to reach transformation at some point. That's an inevitable reality. And so I think that's a good thing to have in your mind as well. It's like, it's not a light switch. It's not off on binary. You either are a stutterer and then you're fluent. It's a lot more like a dial. You are building yourself through a system. You're building up improvement over time. And it'll probably take longer than you want it to. And that goes against the grain of what we want to hear, which is why people who preach, I can help you cure your stutter in 3 days. People who preach that, they're They're playing on your emotions because they know they can, and they know that there are people out there who are going to take the bait. Because human beings, we like things to be quick and fast. But at some point, we have to understand the reality of what it takes to change and rewire our brains. And it is not a quick fix. It is not some goal that we have in our minds. Rather, it is the systems that we put into place and that we act out across many weeks and multiple months to create a brand new, really a brand new person. Because when you change the way that you speak, you change you. And I mean that in the most positive way. You create an enhanced version of you, a better version of you, a maximized version of you. And that should always be the goal. The goal isn't to just be ourselves, or I'm never trying to just be myself in the sense of accept myself and all my flaws in a vacuum. Rather, the only way you're going to have a healthy mind and a healthy life is if you are constantly pursuing improvement, because there's always improvement there. And if you do that again, you're going to see incredible results if you just commit to never stop improving. So there you go. The reason that most people never beat stuttering is because they focus on an unclear goal rather than following a precise system. And so my question to you now is, what exactly is the system that you're going to follow? You need a system, you need a plan, you need a daily routine that you can follow, that you can implement. Otherwise, you just have a lofty goal that you're never going to reach, because with the nature of gravity, you will fall to the level of your systems like we talked about. And so I just want to make this as easy for you as possible to get on a system. And that is why I have my free Stop Stuttering workshop. It's 100% free. It's kind of ridiculous to not go and implement this, right? It's free. It is an in-depth training for how to overcome stuttering. It gives you a behind-the-scenes understanding of what's going on, what to do about it, some tools you can use, and then a daily routine so that you actually practice and start to rewire your brain and to retrain yourself to speak fluently so that you can fade out the old habits of disfluency and fade in the new habits of fluency and speech competence and confidence and all of those awesome words and feelings that we are trying to experience. All right, thank you so much for watching this episode or listening to this episode. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.